Hey you guys, how are all my divos and divas doing? It's not Diva Alexandra and I'm back with another video. Now this time I want to discuss something. Sleep paralysis. This happened to me one time only, and this one time that it happened, it freaked me out completely. So I wanted to go to sleep. I wanted to take a nap. This was during the day. You know, I never take a nap during the day, but I was just like really tired, and I was going through a lot of problems with one of my ex-boyfriends, and we were separated and broken up and everything, and he was in jail or something, and I was just going through like a really rough time. But in that apartment we had a lot of fights in there, so I feel like there was some bad energy in there. So anyways, that's a little backstory on that. So I went to sleep, took my nap. I usually sleep on my back, but for some reason on that day I decided to sleep on my stomach. So I was sleeping on my stomach, and just, you know, that point where you're just totally relaxed and you feel like you're about to fall asleep, right? Right at that moment, all of a sudden I just remember, boom, just jumping right out of my body. And I know you guys are probably thinking like, yeah, okay. I know, I wouldn't even believe it myself, trust me. But it did happen. I jumped out of my body and I looked to the bed, because I said to myself, I said, let me look to the bed and let me see if I'm there. Like, if my body's there. Like, I know I'm dreaming right now, but I want to know what's on my bed. Because I actually was able to jump into the apartment. Like, it wasn't like in a dream, like when you go to sleep, you dream of other places. Like, I was actually dreaming of my apartment that I was living in. And sure enough, when I looked over to my bed, there I was. I was just face down, plopped down, right on the bed. And I remember just like feeling a sensation of where like I felt tightness, or like I felt like I couldn't breathe, like my breathing was being impaired. And I remember just, you know, just looking around in my room, and I was just looking at myself like in disbelief, and I was like, why am I feeling so tight? Next thing I know, like, I don't know if you guys remember like the old TVs, like whenever the picture would go out, there would be like a black and white like picture, and it's like all like you know, staticky and looking crazy. Well, suddenly that's what I saw, an image appearing, and it was like trying to come in, and finally I could see it clearly, and it was a freaking mantis. Huge, like a 10-foot praying mantis, humongous. And I remember just looking at it and staying as like as still as I could be and as calm, because I didn't want it to see me. So I was just looking at it, and it creeped me out because, first of all, it was big as hell. Okay, it was huge. It was like 10 feet tall. Right? Its head was almost hitting the ceiling. Okay, and it had some type of, it was like another, it wasn't its arms, it was like something that came right out of like the chest area, and it was like another arm, but this arm, it was longer, and it was hairy, and it like a smell. I could remember just being disgusted by the smell and the sounds, and it was like slimy and hairy, and just like a slimy, hairy, disgusting arm. It didn't have any, you know, fingers or anything. It was just like a long pole looking thing. And when I looked at this praying mantis, it started to protrude that pole or whatever on me. It was actually putting pressure on my back. And then I put two and two together, and I was like, wait a minute, that's what's making me feel like I can't breathe right now. So I remember just freaking the hell out and just trying to like kind of like move away from the area. And I just remember saying, oh God, please, God help me, God help me. And then as soon as I started saying like, God help me and everything, that praying mantis turned to me like it was on some like Matrix crazy, like it like somehow was reading my thoughts, and it like turned around and looked at me like a demon, and it freaked me the hell out. I just said, God, please help me, because I knew that thing saw me. And at this point I knew it was gonna come for me. So I was like, God help me, I want to get out of here, please, God help me. Next thing I know, I'm right back in my body. I'm not in the clear though because I'm in my body. However, I can't move. I can't talk. I can't move. I can't do nothing. Like, I could feel myself like trying to move, but I can't, like, I can't move. Like, I'm doing all the efforts, but my body won't do it. My body won't move. So again, in my mind, I'm saying, God, help me. Help me to move, because this thing is putting too much pressure on my back at this point, and I'm starting to feel like I'm being, you know, like smothered and suffocated. And I could physically feel myself being pushed in further and further into the bed. This was one of the most scariest times, man. And I just kept saying, God, help me. Next thing I know, finally, I could move. I was able to move. I was able to get up out of the bed. I was able to move around. And I just remember thinking to myself, holy shit. Did I just, like, somehow have, like, some type of out-of-body experience and actually got to see into another realm that somehow I was able to tap into the dream world and reality? Like, I have never been the same after this sleep paralysis, and quite honestly, I never want to have sleep paralysis. And the reason that I'm sharing this with you guys is because I want to know if any of you guys have ever had anything similar happen to you, because I've actually read about, you know, people having different stories on sleep paralysis and what happened to them. And like I said, I'm just really interested in knowing about your experiences with sleep paralysis, or if you have any information on what I've just said about my sleep paralysis, if maybe you could interpret it as something. I don't know, you guys. I'm just really into, like, the supernatural and the dream world and all the, you know, topics that people don't like to discuss. They're very intriguing to me. And I've heard of sleep paralysis before it happened to me, and I just thought it was, like, really weird. But now that it happened to me, it's actually really fucking scary. It's scary because of the fact that this thing, whatever it was, the praying mantis, it was actually physically pushing me down, like, into the bed. Like, it was trying to, like, take my energy or harm me. Like, I was physically being affected by this. You know, I really want to know if this has ever happened to anybody, because this is just weird. And ever since that happened to me, like, I've always had this, like, fear that it will happen again, and, like, that I won't be able to, like, wake up next time, you know? It's just freaky, man.